I'm Melly O'Brien. I'm the host of the Deep Resilience podcast. And in this podcast, I'm going to be sharing with you the right tools, skills, and insights that you need to stay mentally strong, no matter what life is throwing your way right now. I'm here to support you, coach you, and comfort you as you navigate through the hard times of your life. I hope you've had a really wonderful week of practice. I hope that the practices that you continue to do through this podcast are really helping you make gains in wisdom, in strength, in freedom and peace of mind. And if you're new to this podcast, welcome. It's so lovely to have you here. And this is not just a podcast, it's a practice community where each week we learn one skill that makes us mentally stronger. And then we spend the week practicing that skill as a community and finding out firsthand what the effects of that particular mental strength practice are on the state of our mind, our emotions, and our quality of life. This week, I'm going to be talking about how to transform guilt into wisdom. So let's just kind of start with what is guilt. Sometimes people confuse shame and guilt, or they use the two words interchangeably, but they are actually very different things. Guilt is the feeling that you get when you did something wrong, or when, you think you did something wrong. When you feel guilty about what you did, even though it's not a pleasant emotion per se, it can be a very instructive emotion because it helps you learn something about who you want to be in the future, and it helps you learn from mistakes and potentially even take action steps to make amends for something. So it may not be a pleasant emotion, but it can actually be a great motivator to help you move back towards your values and who you really are, and to also grow in wisdom, right? Once you learn from the guilt and you take appropriate action, you can then put it behind you. Now, shame is a different emotion. Shame is the feeling that you're the thing that's wrong. It may or may not be related to a specific behavior at all. So shame is this feeling of kind of being convinced that you yourself are unworthy or wrong or horrible or bad or broken. And, shame is problematic because it doesn't offer a clear pathway back to feeling more positive about yourself, taking empowered action, or moving closer to your values like guilt does, right? So guilt actually does have a helpful aspect to it. Shame is pretty much just very debilitating. So shame is really not helpful or productive. Research shows actually that shame has very strong links to depression and problems with anger. And it can also be the source of hurtful and destructive behaviors towards others. So it's really important to start off with knowing the difference between shame and guilt, because if I'm kind of helping you here to work with the emotion of guilt better, then you really want to tease apart, making sure that you are working with guilt when you use this tool. So because this is a really tricky thing that does trip a lot of people up, I'm going to say that the step one to transforming guilt into wisdom is to make sure that you separate who you are from your actions, right? So in this way, we don't want to tip into shame because that's a very debilitating and unhelpful thing to do. So separate who you are from your actions. We all make mistakes sometimes. We all let people down. We let ourselves down. We let others down. We all blow our responsibilities or act selfishly sometimes. We've all done things we regret. Moments like these are a part of human life. They happen from time to time. It doesn't mean that you are a bad person for committing them. It's a bad behavior, you can say. It's an unhelpful behavior. It's a behavior that doesn't feel like who you truly are. But it can be really helpful in this first step. Just separate who you are from what you did. So it can be helpful to remind yourself of that fact. That's the first step to transforming guilt into wisdom. Try to have a bit of empathy for yourself, okay? Remember not to confuse the understanding I did something wrong with I'm a bad person. For example, I forgot to call my mother today for her birthday instead of I'm a bad daughter, I'm just a selfish person. You see the difference? Okay, so step 1, separate who you are from your actions. Step 2, take the lesson. Okay, so once you've separated your actions from your identity, now you're letting go of shame and you're working with guilt. So inquire in this second step. Why did you do the thing that you did? So let's just get clear on that. Maybe you didn't call your mother because you were overwhelmed and you were juggling work and the kids, or your mum was rude to you last time she called, so you're actually dreading even calling her. So just exploring, because maybe in the moments where you let someone down, you were just wanting to do something else for a good reason, or maybe it was because you wanted to do something more fun. If you were overcome with anger, or you're just having a bad day, or you're caught in a low moment, maybe you were just reactive in that moment. Just explore, first of all, the reasons that you think you might have taken the actions that you did, because that can help you to inform now how you might want to improve things in the future. So why did you do the things you did? Get clear on that, and then ask yourself from there. And you got to be really honest with yourself in this step. Why did you do the things you do? Sometimes you can just admit to yourself, what? I was lazy. I didn't feel like it. I wanted to do something more fun. Whatever, there might be a million different reasons. Or I was just reactive. I lost my cool. I was selfish in that moment. So just being honest with you that the reasons for your behavior may be admirable and understandable, and they may be less so, but that's great. That's a great place to start, with a bit of authenticity and honesty. And then you want to ask yourself, what lesson? Take the lesson now. Ask yourself, what doesn't feel good about this? Why the guilt? What are the lessons you want to learn about yourself and who you want to be in this world, and how you want to act going forward? The third step is to commit to positive change. Let your guilt become your motivator to do better. Think of it as a wise teacher that tells you what felt wrong in the past so that we don't repeat it in the future. So now that you have the insight into what was wrong for you, making this firm commitment to positive change, that may include making amends, saying sorry to someone, or just making a personal and quiet commitment to yourself to change your behavior for the better. In this way, guilt, rather than being something debilitating or that creates an enormous amount of, disempowerment or being unhelpful, can actually become a great source of wisdom, motivation, inner strength, and mental clarity. So here's your mental strength practice for the week ahead. Whenever guilt arises, or shame for that matter, because you can use this practice to transform shame into guilt and then transform your guilt into wisdom. So whenever guilt or shame arises, as best you can, not spending too much time, in that stage of kind of beating yourself up and putting yourself down or wallowing in the feeling. Instead, just give yourself a moment to follow these 3 steps. Separate who you are from what you did. Take the lesson and commit to positive change. This way, you just keep learning and growing and getting stronger and living more and more in ways that leave yourself and others feeling happy and healthy and empowered. I hope this is beneficial for you. I hope this practice is a great resource for you in your life. Thank you for your ongoing practice, and I look forward to practicing this with you this week. And if you want to shout out to me on socials or on email and let me know how you're going, I always love hearing from you, love hearing your stories, love hearing how this is benefiting your life. So just know that whenever you guys reach out, I listen, I'm reading everything, and I wish you well, and I'll see you on the next episode. If If you know someone who you think might benefit from listening to this episode, share it with them. Sharing it could really help them to feel better and improve the quality of their life. And if you found this episode helpful, remember to subscribe to this podcast so that you can receive more tips on growing your inner strength and keep practicing along with us every week. And if you'd like some more support in becoming mentally, emotionally, and spiritually stronger, come check out the offerings I have to support you on my website at mellyobrien.com. As well as coaching and course options, I also have a bunch of free resources for you, including a free Deep Resilience Care Package, which you can begin to use right away to get some immediate relief from stress and suffering, improve your resilience and mental well-being, and help you navigate whatever you're going through with more wisdom, skill, and confidence. You can find the links for all of that in the show notes. Thanks again for tuning in. Take care and stay strong.